What time is it?
Adventure time! Adventure time!
Yeah! Do you know where we're going?
On a trip.
We're going on a big trip, huh?
Yeah.
We're going down to St. George.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get started.
Yeah!
All of these red lines show different trips that we've experienced in our Tesla. If you're interested in seeing them, click on the card above that will show the playlist of all of the other videos that I've made. And I'll be adding additional videos to this playlist as we go along. To get notified automatically when I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel. Change that bell notification to all and you will get notified automatically. For this trip, we're going to be going down to southern Utah to St. George, and we're going to be there for a couple of days. So I'm going to be breaking this trip up into multiple videos. Today's video is about our drive from home down to Fillmore, Utah to drop off things at our hotel. And then we went over to the Meadow hot springs, which is some private land nearby that has an awesome hot spring there. Nearby there are a series of lava tubes that we've explored in the past, but we will save that for another video because we did not go there on this trip. We've driven down to St. George many times in the past, and typically we'll drive straight down in one go. It's about 4 hours, and then you have a little bit of charging on top of that perhaps. And we usually stop in Beaver, Utah for supercharging. But in this case, it was part of our itinerary to stay in a hotel in Fillmore, Utah and go visit the hot springs. So we left home with 91% state of charge on our battery. The segment of driving from home down to the hotel took an hour and a half, and we used up 55% of the battery, going from 91 to 36%. And that is 119 miles of driving and consumed 43 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is 361 watt hours per mile, or 85.3% efficiency. And this would have cost $4.71 worth of electricity based on the rates in Utah for retail homes, but for us, since we have solar, it was free. And this is driving at an average speed of 80 miles per hour.
We've arrived at the hotel. You girls gonna take your bags in?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. This hotel I picked because it has a destination charger here. It's for patrons only, so I had to check in before they would turn it on, and I've already plugged it in and we're charging up right now. And let's check the charge rate. So we ended up arriving here with 36% on the battery, and it's charging at 40 amps, but it's the industrial level of voltage, which is 208 volts. So we're only getting 8 kilowatts. So at this rate, if we were to charge all the way to 100%, which is what the charge limit is currently set to, it would take 8 hours. I'm going to send it up to 90%. The reality is that we're actually only going to be here for a little bit right now, and we're going to go off and do some activities, so the battery's really not going to get very charged up right now. But when we come back this evening to stay overnight, it'll get fully charged overnight, no problem. We got checked in at the hotel and we immediately got changed into our swimsuits, and now we're heading to the hot springs that are nearby here in Meadow, Utah, and we'll show you what that looks like.
The drive from the hotel to the Meadow hot springs took 20 minutes and used up 8% of our battery and was almost 17 miles of driving, and we used 6.17 kilowatt hours or 371 watt hours per mile, and that is driving at 83% efficiency. The views out here are really stunning. There's this green mountain range with lots of open desert around it and farmland here and there with sprinkler systems.
This on the map shows roughly where the springs are, hot springs. I sent it from my phone, however, and because there is no address, it doesn't really show exactly the location that I sent. It's just the general road. So luckily down here, I have us routed on my phone, and so I'm using that to get more precisely exactly where we're going.
This route has 5 miles of gravel road, which are well maintained. And then on either side, it's interesting the contrast between the green crop circles and then just the open desert. Also here and there are cattle grazing on I don't know what, because it looks pretty dead out there, but yeah, there were lots of cattle out there. After a short drive down the gravel road, we then arrived at the Meadow hot springs. Now this is private land, but it is open to the public, at least for now, as long as people treat it nicely.
All right, we've arrived at the general area of the hot springs, and there's a really uneven road here. See if we can navigate it or not. We got through that really bumpy section. It really wasn't too bad. It's still uneven, for sure. But we raised the air suspension up to very high, and it got through it no problem. There's the hot spring right over there. We'll get parked over here by these other cars, and then we'll go jump in. The Tesla did just fine getting here on this crazy road. And here is the actual hot spring right here.
Just as we arrived, there was a big group of ATVs that arrived, and they explored the area and then continued on their way. Now, this particular hot spring is not the only one. It is the deepest one, and it is the warmest one. It is about 90 degrees, and it goes down to about 30 feet. But there are two more, and there's another one that is also naturally heated, and it's probably around 75 degrees. And then there is a third one that doesn't have any natural heat at all that I could tell. As you can see from the number of vehicles and people walking between them, these are popular hot springs, and it's fun to come and explore all three of them and see how they are different from each other. I've been coming to these hot springs for about 10 years now. This is actually a video from back in 2012 when I came out here with my sisters and my dad with some scuba gear, and we scuba dived all the way down to the bottom. In this picture from 2012, you can see that the road out there was actually really a lot smaller, and they had a gate at the entrance saying no driving back there, so it wasn't even supposed to be more than just a footpath. And so things have definitely changed since then. Scuba diving in this hot spring was lots of fun. It's like a really deep bathtub. It's very warm water, and when we got all the way down to the bottom, it was about 30 feet deep. And it's really beautiful looking up as you ascend, and you can see the green moss fringing the surface. This video was from 8 years ago, and when we were just there now, it was a lot less moss because of all of the traffic of people there rubbing the moss off.
You are doing a great job swimming, Lydia.
Dad, look how fast I can swim.
That's great, Lucy.
This water's warm.
It is very warm.
I'm standing up, not doing anything. And Dad, I can actually swim on my back.
Yeah? Great job, Lucy.
We spent the late afternoon there having lots of fun, and as you can see, there were a number of people there enjoying the warm water as well. Unfortunately, the party eventually died down, and we then headed out. On the way out, Jessica drove the Tesla while I flew the drone, and I wanted to show here how well the suspension works in this particular use case. We were able to raise it all the way up to very high, and as you can see, there were a lot of points of pretty uneven terrain, and the suspension I found does not have a ton of travel when it's up that high, but still going over this uneven terrain, it handled it beautifully, and we never scraped the bottom of the car at all the whole way out or in. This segment of driving was going from the hot springs all the way up to North Fillmore to a Subway where we got some dinner. And that was a 14-minute drive and used up 8% of the battery, which took us from 28% down to 20%. That is 14 miles or 20 rated miles, and we used up 6.39 kilowatt hours, or used up 450 watt hours per mile, which was 68% efficiency. We used up 70 cents worth of electricity on this segment of the drive. We once again enjoyed the beautiful vistas, and especially from the drone you can see things better than we could see when we were in the car. So right now we are going over the freeway. We are on a overpass bridge. Tesla really wants us to be on the freeway, but well, we can't get on the freeway. And on my phone on Google Maps, it is showing just fine that we're on this other road that is not the freeway, but the Tesla just cannot figure out what we're on, and it just keeps thinking we're on the freeway. But this map over here does show the map, the road that we're on. It just doesn't show that that's the path we should take. Kind of funny. I don't quite know why it works that way. Right now we are headed to Subway for dinner, and then we'll be heading back to our hotel after that. Hey girls. So girls, what did you think of the hot springs?
It was fun.
Yeah?
Hot.
And hot. Clara, what did you think of the hot springs? Oh, you're coloring in the car. Okay, gotcha. You just doing your alphabet? Great. I'm glad you girls had fun. We finished eating our dinner at a park in the area, and now we are heading back to our hotel again, and the estimated arrival percentage is 17%. So basically, after all the driving down here today from our house, leaving home with about 90%, and then going out to the hot springs, and then driving back up here to get food, and then back to the hotel, this whole trip has been able to be handled within the battery range of this car.
That short segment of driving was 4 or 5 minutes and used up 1% of the battery, and it was 3 miles. So we got back to the hotel with 17% on the battery. And look at that beautiful sunset that we saw as we were driving down.
We are back at the hotel. I have just plugged in the car. We have the official Tesla destination chargers here, one there and one over there. And it's working great to charge our car. And the car got super dusty, as you can see, but that's to be expected on any time we go on a gravel road. Looking at the charging, the car is currently at 17%, and it's estimating that we'll need to charge for 9 hours and 15 minutes to get up to 90%. Now, one thing to cite as a side note, if you look at this number when you first get in the car, if you turn on the heater or the air conditioning or just the HVAC system in general, the car will start to pull a bunch of energy right then, and so you'll find that this estimate actually goes up quite a bit. So just keep that in mind, that turn off the HVAC system if you want to have an accurate readout of this time estimate. We did charge the car for just a few minutes when we first got here to the hotel, and it put about 1% in the battery. Other than that, we haven't charged at all today, and we drove all the way from our house all the way down here to Fillmore, and then down to Meadow, out to the hot springs, and then back to Fillmore, but to northern Fillmore, and then back to southern Fillmore where our hotel is, and arriving here with 17% battery. So it's great to know that we left home with 90%. We weren't even 100% full, and we were able to do all this running around, and it worked just fine for us. But I hope it was helpful for you to see just what the car is capable of, and that we were able to do this trip, and the car could handle everything that we were doing. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and also click that like button. We'll see you in the next video. Girls, are you loving staying in a hotel?
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom.